Hello and welcome to It's Tomorrow News, and I am Hena Talati. Tens of thousands of Australians have been forced to evacuate as torrential rains caused the worst flooding in a decade on the country's southeast coast region. The rain submerged town centers, washed away homes and cut power lines. At least 13 people have been killed since the extreme weather arrived last week, the latest 4 deaths recorded in the worst hit town of the Lismore in New South Wales. Emergency crews carried out 300 flood rescues after getting 2,200 requests from the help overnight. Military helicopters airlifted stranded people from the rooftops, while the stranded motorists and animals were rescued from the bridge after fast rising water submerged both ends. A deadly storm front barreled south on Wednesday towards Sydney, home to more than 5 million people. The Bureau of Meteorology said the Sydney siders should brace to receive month's worst of the rain in a few hours, as officials reported that Warrangamba Dam, the city's main source of water, began overflowing on Wednesday morning. The disaster raised questions about how prepared the country was for being at forefront for severe climate change, one academic expert said. The population of 28,000 people was inundated on Monday afternoon when Wilson's River picked up at its highest level since records began in 1880. Authorities expect the death toll to rise in Lismore and its surrounding areas. Dozens of the suburbs remain flooded in Brisbane, Australia's third most populous city, 750 kilometers north of Sydney, after the river that snakes through its centre peaked on Monday. The Queensland state capital had received 80% of its average annual rainfall within few days. The cleanup efforts is underway and 8,000 volunteers had enlisted for what is known as Mud Army, which helps those who were inundated. Queensland has accounted for 9 of the deaths from the flooding disaster that has resulted from the low pressure system that is moving south. Floodwater from the deluge, which began last week, submerged several towns and bridges in Queensland and New South Wales and was moving to the south with heavy rains and possible flash flooding forecast for Sydney. Sydney, Australia's largest city and the home for more than 5 million people, could receive up to 150 millimeters of rains within a 6-hour period, the Bureau of Meteorology said. Sydney's mean rainfall for March is 138 millimeters according to official data. New South Wales Premier described the extreme weather as a one in a 1,000-year event and said emergency crews carried out more than 1,000 rescues in the state after receiving 6,000 calls for help so far. Hundreds of the people are still stuck at their homes in the northern New South Wales city of Lismore, facing its worst flood on record amid reports of some spending night on rooftops. Mayor told Channel 7 that 9 people were still missing, with 400 rescues yet to be carried out. Around 50 people were rescued after they began stuck in the bridge overnight when fast rising water submerged both ends, authorities said. Australia's East Coast summer has been dominated by the La Nina climate pattern, which is typically associated with the greater rainfall for the second straight year. Brisbane, Australia's third largest city, received around 80% of its annual rainfall over the last 3 days, Queensland Premier said on Tuesday. The extraordinary rainfall comes as the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change reported this week that the vast swaths of Australia have already lost 20% of its rainfall, and the country's fire risk has gone beyond worst-case scenarios developed just a few years ago. Australia's hottest and the driest year on record was 2019, which ended with devastating wildfires across the southeast Australia. The fires directly killed 33 people and another 400 people were killed by the smoke. The fires also destroyed more than 3,000 homes and razed 19 million hectares of the farmland and forest. But 2 La Nina weather patterns have since brought above average rainfall to the same regions. An Australian academic and lead author of the UN IPCC assessment reports in 2007 and 2015 said climate change was expected to overwhelm government systems such as flood responses. It is seen that the emergency services are struggling already to cope up with the floods in northern New South Wales, with people stranded on roofs without food for more than 24 hours. That's all for now. For more news updates, stay tuned with us. It's Tomorrow News. For more global weather updates like this, subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon for regular updates.